Welcome. In this explainer, we are diving deep into the biology of making and breaking habits. We're going to uncover the science of why changing your behavior is so incredibly hard, and more importantly, how you can use that knowledge to your advantage. So let's get right into it. You know the feeling, right? That new gym routine, trying to learn an instrument, or even just tackling a big project at work. You've got the motivation, you've made the plan, but actually starting feels like pushing a giant boulder uphill. So why is that? Why is that initial friction just so powerful? Well, here's the first big idea we're going to unpack. That struggle, it's not a personal failing. It's not a lack of discipline or willpower. It is a predictable, physical process that's happening inside your nervous system. And honestly, just understanding that is the first step to mastering it. So, to really get a handle on this process, we first need to look at the hardware we're working with. Let's start with the command center for your entire life, your nervous system. Now, this is so important to get. The nervous system isn't just your brain. It's this constant two-way conversation. Your brain sends signals down to your body, sure, but your body is sending signals right back up. It's one big, continuous, interconnected loop that literally shapes everything you think, everything you feel, and everything you do. I love this quote because it paints such a vivid picture. Every single thing you experience, every success, every failure, every conversation, it's like a song being played on a piano. And the more you play a certain song, the more worn in those pathways become. Your brain is literally a physical map of your own personal history. Okay, so inside that incredibly complex map, there's this fundamental conflict going on all the time. It really dictates your ability to change. You can think of it as a battle between two very different operating systems in your brain. So on one side, you've got your autopilot. This is run by a deep part of your brain called the basal ganglia. It handles all your ingrained habits, the stuff you do without even thinking. And the key thing here, it's incredibly energy efficient. Then on the other side, you've got the pilot. This is your prefrontal cortex, right behind your forehead. This is your center for deliberate focus, for learning new things. And it feels hard because it is an energy guzzler. It takes a ton of glucose to run. So your brain, being smart, is designed to default to the energy-saving autopilot whenever it possibly can. So how does this battle create that feeling of resistance we all know so well? Well, when you try to do something new, you are literally forcing your brain to switch gears from that easy, low-energy autopilot to the demanding, energy-hungry pilot. And you know what? Your brain does not like that. Here's how the chain reaction plays out. First, you introduce a challenge, something new. That forces your pilot, your prefrontal cortex, to work really hard. This effort creates a feeling of discomfort, which then activates your amygdala. That's your brain's alarm system. The amygdala starts screaming, "Hey, this is hard. This is unfamiliar. Let's get out of here." And so what do? You retreat right back to a familiar, low-energy autopilot habit, like picking up your phone or turning on the TV. And that feeling, that friction, that stress, that agitation, it has a chemical name. It's caused by the release of norepinephrine. In your body, you know this stuff as adrenaline. It's a physical response designed to make you feel alert and, agitated. And this right here might be the single most important sentence in this entire explainer. That uncomfortable, agitating feeling of strain, it's not a signal to stop. It is the biological price of admission for change. It's the sign that your brain is actually getting ready to rewire itself. It is the entry point. So, okay, you've paid that price of admission. You've pushed through the agitation and focused. But how does your brain actually make those changes permanent? Well, the answer is kind of surprising. The whole process is called neuroplasticity. You've probably heard the term. It's your brain's incredible, almost magical ability to physically change and adapt based on what you do. For a long time, scientists thought this was just for kids. But now we know the adult brain can change in amazing ways, as long as we create the right conditions. Okay, so during that period of focused strain, two chemicals are doing all the work. First, you get epinephrine. That's adrenaline again, which creates alertness and basically tells your brain, hey, pay attention, this is important. Then another critical chemical called acetylcholine gets released. The best way to think about this one is like a chemical highlighter. It literally comes in and marks the exact neural circuits that were active, tagging them to be strengthened later. But here is the crazy part, the dirty secret, if you will. All that hard work, all that focused effort and strain, that's just for marking the circuits for change. No actual lasting rewiring happens while you're doing the work. So, when does it happen? It happens when you stop. The real physical strengthening of those connections, the thing that turns a new skill into an automatic habit, that happens during deep sleep and also during periods of non-sleep deep rest, like meditation or just zoning out. Rest isn't passive. It's when your brain's construction crew actually shows up to do the work. All right, so now that we've got the science down, how can we make this process work for us instead of against us? Let's get into a couple of really practical science-backed tools you can use. So to consciously engage your pilot and tell your autopilot to take a back seat, you can use a really simple mental framework called DPO. Before you start any tough task, just quickly and clearly define the duration, the path, and the outcome. You're basically giving your prefrontal cortex, your pilot, a clear flight plan, and that structure gives it the leverage it needs to push through that initial resistance. Now for how long you should focus. Turns out your brain naturally operates in these 90-minute cycles of focus. They're called ultradian rhythms. And this is happening all day long, whether you're awake or asleep. The most effective way to learn something new or do deep work is to line up your effort with these natural 90-minute sprints. And a really important heads up when you try this, be prepared. The science is crystal clear that the first 5 to 10 minutes of any focus session will feel difficult. That's not a sign you're failing. That's the normal biological friction you have to push through to get into that flow state. Whatever you do, don't give up before you get there. This final analogy really just nails the whole idea. Think about it. You can stand there forever, fiddling with the faucet, trying to find that perfectly comfortable temperature to get in the shower, or you can just accept that the water might be cold for a second, brave it, and get the job done. That discomfort is temporary, but the change, that can be permanent. So the next time you feel that agitation, that friction when you're trying something new, you'll know exactly what it is. It's not a stop sign. It's the feeling of your brain getting ready to change for the better. It's the price of admission. So the only question left is, what will you choose to build?